Hey everybody, I'm Stephanie. I'm a PhD candidate in computer science and digital art in Trinity College Dublin here in Ireland. My research is a practice based research on finance art. Finance art investigates the use of global finance's own methods and tools in art production. It appropriates the methods and techniques of global finance to question and engage with finance and attempts to transform our relationship to it. This research and work comes out of the experience and knowledge I have built and reflected upon over the last 20 years, working in finance and technology inside the financial industry and bringing it to my artistic practice. My research is really based on my work as a finance practitioner in technology and my professional encounters with financial innovation and technology. This webinar explores what finance art does. Its main topics of investigations, which include the process of financialization, which has been increasing since the early 1980s, financial innovation and technology, and global finance. It also explores how finance art can help make these processes, which are mainly happening at a technological and abstract and machinic level, back to human scale of sensations. Finance art operates beyond representation. By appropriating finance's own method, it has an inside view into the world of finance. It does not represent finance, it becomes finance. It directly connects to the global financial system in certain cases. It functions at an asignifying level and brings a discipline which is typically intellectual down to a sensorial experience. It invites people to engage with this subject in a very different way. Deleuze and Guattari were French philosophers, wrote that the vocation of all non representational art is to make visible forces that would otherwise remain invisible. Finance art operates in this manner. Finance art's topics of investigation, as previously discussed, are the process of financialization of the world economy, financial innovation and technology, and global finance. So let's go a little further into what these things are. The process of financialization has numerous definitions, each touching on varied elements of this complex process. This shows how pervasive it is and how it has penetrated all layers of our lives. For example, according to Gerald Epstein in Introduction, Financialization and the World Economy, the main transformations the world economy has gone through are the rise of neoliberalism, globalization, and financialization. He defines the process of financialization as the increasing role of financial motives, financial markets, financial actors, and financial institutions in the operation of the domestic and international economies. Over the last 40 years, the financial economy has grown several times faster than the real economy to become a large part of the world economy. The role of financial innovation, in particular the increased use of securitization and shadow banking, as well as the role of technology, such as networking increasing speed, favoring practices such as high frequency trading and algorithmic trading, have played a key role in the expansion of the financialization process and in adding complexity, secrecy, and obscurity to global finance. These make the financialization process go more easily undetected or less visible to the general public, while the resulting inequalities are very apparent in everyday life. Per Hansen writes about the financialization process and how it relates to the balance of power between the financial industry and the rest of the economy. He writes about finance as master in the context of financialization, where the rest of the economy serves financial interests. For example, when politicians and their policies care more about what Wall Street or the city think, or their approval rather than the non financial economy and everyday people, as opposed to finance's slave, where finance serves the non financial economy and supports its growth and development, such as manufacturing or healthcare. The financialization process has infiltrated our social and private worlds as well. Randy Martin's book, Financialization of Daily Life, analyzes the processes of financialization not only in economic terms, but also in people's everyday lives. Per Hansen explains how, in this context, the value system is solely pecuniary and how people have been reduced to the roles of consumer and investor as opposed to citizens. The framework, which includes these roles, goes hand in hand with the reduction of the state in the economy and the reduction of the importance of the citizen's role in this kind of society. The cultural aspect of the financialization process and its pervasive aspect that inserts itself into all aspects of people's lives makes it more insidious and less identifiable. Its importance and infiltration in all social strata has a significant effect on the accepted value systems and makes financial value widespread in financialized societies. This is exemplified in the way some economists or politicians are putting a pecuniary value on natural sites such as Antarctica. Antarctica, like the Amazon forest or an elephant, is invaluable and should be valued on the basis of social, environmental, and individual values. Life on Earth, human, animal, and vegetal lives, when converted into financial values, make little sense. What is the use of monetary value once human beings are extinct? Currently, institutions such as financial regulators, central banks, corporations, and the financial services industry more generally, as well as traditional financial media and press, are the ones who define the territory of finance. Their strategies emphasize ambiguity, use jargon and abstractions to provoke the disengagement of people. Also, banks, financial exchanges, and institutions, such as hedge funds, have an unfair advantage in financial market transactions through their control of data, technology, communication infrastructure, and information. These strategies ensure citizens do not engage with these market practices directly, and as such have no say or input into any regulations needed or the future direction these markets should take. These strategies ensure that most people are kept out of the discussion, even though it is their pensions and their savings which are invested through these operations. For example, in the recent GameStop situation, large hedge funds and financial institutions were betting against GameStop, selling their stock short because of the physical nature of their business in the middle of a pandemic. Some small traders from Reddit decided to take matters into their own hands and counteract their trades by buying GameStop stocks long through trading apps such as Robinhood, inverting the downward trend of the stock and pushing it up. Hedge funds lost millions in this situation, leading Robinhood to stop any buying of this stock but allowing selling on their platform, therefore protecting Wall Street and hedge funds' interest and opposing the interest of their own customers and the GameStop business. These actions pose questions about market manipulation, market abuse, and regulations, and how, when large financial institutions act in a certain way, it is authorized, while small traders' similar actions are stopped and censored. While financial innovation and technology have transformed the world of finance, most people still have outdated images of finance which date back from the 1980s and 90s, where traders were in pits, physically signaling to each other to buy or sell. This is a photo montage by Andreas Gorski. It's in the Tate Modern in London and is a representation of capitalism in the 90s. The fascination of the traders, their secret language made of gestures that looked like a social dance and could move millions in seconds. However, things have changed. These buildings have been deserted. Pretty much no trading takes place in Wall Street or the City of London itself. Most exchanges are now virtualized programs sitting on computers located in data centers away from city centers. Algorithmic robots do most of the trading in these new products automatically without human intervention. A lot of the products traded daily and their prices are not attached to the underlying companies and their performance in the real economy. With the dematerialization of finance and financial instruments, the products traded on exchanges and off exchange are numbers recorded on a computer that are dictated by offer and demand on the markets, driven by information rather than linked to any company's productivity. Financial instruments are also created and derived from other products such as stocks and mortgages. The process of securitization is a way to derive and create new financial instruments to be traded on virtual exchanges. Securitization is based on complex and black box models that derive these new instruments from other products. It has been a way to move assets off balance sheet and to shift the risk related to underlying assets. The complexity introduced through financial innovation ensures regulation is far behind and citizens are excluded. Most people still hold models of finance as human traders interacting in a pit, as in Gursky's photo montage. These obsolete models ensure that citizens are not involved or engaged in the discussion on the future of markets, even though these have a direct impact on their lives, especially in times of crisis such as the one occurring at the moment with COVID-19. Finance might appear abstract and complex. Its connections with everyday life have become invisible through the multiple layers of abstraction that have been created between commodities and financial instruments. To counteract the strategies employed by financial institutions and encourage people's engagement with global finance, finance art tactically attempts to reconnect the multiple levels of complexity and abstractions between the global financial system and everyday life. Finance art attempts to achieve this through the creation of new assemblages that bring finance abstract appearance back into an actual, sensorial, visible, and touchable plane. So, what does finance art do? Finance art is composed of the art practices and theories that use finance frameworks, methodologies, tools, technologies, and practices to produce art. The use of those tools that have been developed and are used by the financial world is what makes an art piece or theory finance art. It functions at an asignifying level and brings a discipline which is typically intellectual down to a sensorial experience. It invites people to engage with the subject in a different way. These are a few examples of finance artwork. This is a photo of my installation called The Glitter of a Flash Crash, which was presented as part of the Materiality exhibition in the Quadrangle Art Gallery in NUI Galway. It is based on a series of data visualizations, animations that I have created using a dataset of second data for several stocks which are part of the Dow Jones Industrial Average Index during the first flash crash, which happened on the 6th of May 2010 at 2:45 p.m. During this flash crash, the US stock market plunged and recovered by 6% in 3 minutes. This flash crash and all the subsequent ones are symptoms of malfunctions in global markets, and they are happening more and more frequently. These are other examples of finance artworks by the French art collective RYBN, whose interventions focus on financial markets. These are part of their anti-data mining project. They have created an algo trader robot in 2008 that is trading the 8,279 euros or 10,000 US dollars that the French Ministry of Culture have given them as part of an art grant. This bot is called ADM8 and is doing pretty well actually. It is still going and its performance can be followed online in real time. They have also created the flash crash natal birth chart and a sonification that represents the most dramatic part of that trading day. Another example of finance artwork is Michael Markovitsky's Rat Traders. This artwork's objective was to develop a technology that would train laboratory rats to recognize patterns in financial markets trading data and act on these patterns to buy long or sell short in order to produce a profit. This artwork, according to the artist's website, took the form of an experiment that included 80 laboratory rats, 40 female and 40 male, trained in purposely built training boxes to recognize patterns in the sonification tracks of tick data and make decisions of buying or selling commodity futures instruments. Markovitsky stated on his website that he managed to outperform some of the world's leading human fund managers. Lombardi's artworks are wider than just financial markets and global finance. They make visible the social machines surrounding them, such as political machines, the links between the powers in place through politics, financiers, the companies listed on exchanges, financial markets, the CIA, and arms dealers, amongst others. Their main focus includes the financial crimes that involve money laundering, insider trading, as well as the financial institutions enabling these crimes. His art practice uncovered the hidden links between all these machine nodes through the recording and the mapping of the details of scandals uncovered by reputable news stories, such as the New York Times. The finance practices he appropriated were those of financial crime investigations, which are often performed by financial regulators, such as national central banks' regulatory branch, the European Bank Authority or EBA in Europe, or exchange regulators such as the SEC in the US. Finance art moves and displaces finance from its usual milieu, which is secretive, elitist, and restricted, into an artistic milieu which is more open and inviting. The main operations performed by finance art are to reconnect the multiple levels of abstraction back to everyday life, as well as to bring operations that happen at a machinic scale back to a human perception scale. In terms of financialization, finance art attempts to make visible the operations that contribute to the financialization of the economy and raise awareness on these processes, the effects they have, and their impact on people's lives. It attempts to engage citizens with the practices of global finance and help them question them. So, in summary, the main operation of finance art is to facilitate the travel between the levels of abstraction which are put in place between global finance and the impact it has on our immediate reality, which is part of the financialization process, as well as the importance of citizen engagement and awareness on this process, which can go undetected but has very obvious and real consequences in people's everyday lives. So here in the Finance Art Institute, we're going to present courses, products and services which are aligned with finance art, its values and ethical finance. So stay tuned if you're interested and join us for our next video, which will present what the Finance Art Institute does and what it stands for. Thank you for watching and see you soon.